Welcome, seekers of truth. Today, we expose the darkest secrets of the modern global elite. A single world government, one unified currency, and a borderless global medical regime. Do you still believe this is just a wild conspiracy theory created by paranoid minds? The exact same master plan was recorded 2,600 years ago in ancient Babylon. It terrified the greatest king on earth. Let us open the sealed files of the prophet Daniel. In secure, dimly lit boardrooms, powerful men draft treaties to erase our national borders. They call it the Great Reset, a coordinated effort to control the entire global population. Health mandates and digital currencies are rapidly pushed forward by unseen globalist forces. But this quest for absolute global domination is actually a very old and dangerous ambition. Let us travel back to the year 604 BC, inside the glorious Babylonian Empire. King Nebuchadnezzar, the absolute ruler of the known world, suddenly awakes in sheer terror. A deeply disturbing nightmare shatters his peace, leaving him trembling in his golden chambers. Historical records state that his spirit was extremely troubled, and his sleep completely vanished. Desperate for answers, he summons his Chaldean sorcerers, astrologers, and powerful magicians. The furious king demands they not only interpret the dark dream, but also describe its exact details. Trembling on the marble floor, the wise men beg for mercy, claiming the task is impossible for men. They whisper that only the immortal gods dwelling in the heavens could reveal such hidden mysteries. Enraged by their failure, the paranoid monarch orders the immediate execution of all wise men. The decree of death is issued, plunging the great city of Babylon into a state of absolute panic. If you held ultimate power, would you execute your loyal advisors just to calm your own fears? Among those condemned to die is a young Jewish captive named Daniel, blessed with divine wisdom. Facing certain death, Daniel asks the king for a brief moment of time to reveal the secret meaning. According to the ancient texts, Daniel returns to his house and prays fervently to the God of heaven. In a profound night vision, the ultimate mystery of human history is finally revealed to the prophet. Armed with absolute divine truth, Daniel calmly walks into the royal throne room to face the king. Standing before the heavily armed royal guards, Daniel speaks with unparalleled prophetic authority. He boldly declares that no mortal magician can reveal the secret, but there is a God in heaven. He perfectly describes the king's terrifying vision, a massive, incredibly brilliant, and frightening statue. The Book of Daniel records that the enormous image stood with an overwhelming and dreadful appearance. The head of this magnificent statue was crafted entirely from pure, shining, and flawless solid gold. Daniel points at the glowing diorama and says, "You, O king, are that ultimate head of solid gold." Babylon represents the absolute peak of unified human power, reigning supreme over all earthly nations. But the divine timeline dictates that this golden empire will inevitably fall to an inferior kingdom. The statue's chest and powerful arms were forged from solid silver, representing the Medo-Persian Empire. Though slightly less centralized, they conquer Babylon and spread their military might across the regions. Next comes the bronze belly and thighs, symbolizing the swift and devastating conquests of ancient Greece. Alexander the Great pushes the borders further, uniting diverse cultures under a single bronze banner. Notice how the value of the metals steadily decreases, reflecting the moral decay of human empires. Yet the physical strength of the materials significantly increases, showing greater military brutality. Then we reach the terrifying legs of solid iron, shattering and breaking everything in their path. This represents the ruthless Roman Empire, an unstoppable military machine that crushed all opposition. Rome established the brutal structural foundation for Western civilization and modern political systems. The iron grip of Rome seemingly disappeared, but its legal and political ghost still haunts us today. We are now rapidly approaching the most critical and unstable period of all human prophetic history. The timeline moves from the ancient legs of iron directly down to the fragile divided 10 toes. What happens when a global system tries to forcefully fuse unbreakable iron with brittle clay? Daniel reveals the final stage. The feet and toes were made partly of strong iron and partly of clay. This is the ultimate theological true crime, exposing a deeply flawed modern globalist alliance today. The iron represents the lingering authoritarian legacy of Rome, demanding absolute centralized control. But the baked clay represents the divided masses of humanity, clinging to their ethnic and national roots. Modern elites try desperately to forge a singular world order using global treaties and health mandates. They use the United Nations and economic forums to bind diverse sovereign countries into one giant bloc. However, the ancient prophecy clearly states that iron and clay cannot firmly stick or blend together. This global union is incredibly fragile, constantly tearing itself apart through violent internal conflicts. Behind the polished smiles of modern diplomats lies a chaotic struggle to suppress the angry populations. Citizens around the world march in the streets, resisting the digital surveillance and forced integration. The elite leaders watch their massive data screens in silent panic as the social fabric begins to tear. They push harder, introducing digital IDs and central bank digital currencies to enforce total compliance. But just like brittle pottery clay, the more pressure you apply to the system, the faster it shatters. We are living in the exact era of the 10 toes, a fragmented world waiting for its final fatal blow. Many contemporary scholars argue that we are witnessing the dying breaths of this artificial world order. The leaders may wear expensive tailored suits today, but they share Nebuchadnezzar's deep, unspoken terror. They know their unnatural global alliance is highly unstable and could collapse at any given moment. They attempt to mingle through political marriages and treaties, but the people will not remain united. This is not just geopolitical theory, it is a divine decree written in stone 26 centuries ago. The iron control mechanisms are failing to hold the multicultural clay of humanity together in harmony. The stage is perfectly set for the most dramatic and devastating intervention in all of human history. While the king watches the diorama, Daniel points to a sudden, miraculous event changing everything. A mighty stone, cut out of a mountain without any human hands, suddenly flies toward the giant image. It does not strike the golden head or the silver chest. It strikes the fragile feet of iron and clay. With a deafening crash, the entire structure of human government and elite control is completely shattered. The iron, clay, bronze, silver, and gold are brutally broken to pieces and crushed into fine powder. A violent, mystical wind sweeps the debris away, leaving absolutely no trace of these worldly empires. The stone that struck the image rapidly grows into a massive mountain, covering the whole entire earth. This represents the eternal kingdom of God, completely destroying the arrogant systems built by mortal men. King Nebuchadnezzar, completely overwhelmed by this terrifying divine truth, falls prostrate on the ground. The absolute ruler of Babylon discards his golden crown, bowing deeply before the young Jewish prophet. Fast forward to our modern era. The architects of the Great Reset will eventually face this exact fate. Their massive digital screens will go dark, and their carefully crafted global systems will turn to dust. They are building an empire on fractured foundations, desperately fighting against an inevitable divine outcome. A global government cannot survive, and its short reign is merely setting the stage for final judgment. But there is a crucial missing piece to their puzzle before the final stone strikes the fragile statue. A single world government cannot fully operate unless the traditional economic system is entirely crushed. To establish their new digital currency, the mighty Western banking networks must experience total ruin. The Book of Revelation calls this upcoming devastating financial collapse the shocking fall of Babylon. How close are we to a catastrophic hyperinflation crisis that will wipe out all our earthly wealth? Click the video on your screen right now to uncover the horrifying truth behind the fall of Babylon. Will the elite's new world order crush humanity, or will it collapse under its own weight? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. Is the Iron and Clay Alliance breaking apart today? Please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel for more deep truths.